7 weeks in a row, we have seen mortgage applications to purchase up week on week. Folks, that is a trend. We have seen refis go up 100, 200, and 300% year on year. What is going on in the mortgage industry? We have rate cuts on the horizon. We have mortgage rates up, not down. And folks, surprise, surprise, Wall Street is changing the game. Yes, folks, you might expect Wall Street to be excited about the increase in demand. They are not. They are actually tightening up and reducing exceptions. Folks, we're going to go to Dustin first. He just celebrated a birthday. Lots of people wished you happy birthday last week, Dustin. Hopefully you saw that. What is this deal with Wall Street changing the rules again?
Yeah, so I think as we got into the 2 weeks ago when we had the Fed rate cut, but prior, the month leading up where mortgage rates were going down, no surprise that volume went up, right? And
Yep.
as volume ticked up, Wall Street was then seeing a lot more loan applications come across their desk asking for funding authorizations, right? And with the volume uptick, they realized that, hey, over the last year, we used to be willing to or wanting to give exceptions so we could get loans across the table and keep the industry alive, right? So
Mhm.
now the exceptions, and this could be for anything, believe it or not, there's quite a few different times in a loan application where we might need an exception because the credit's 3 points too low, or we might need it because the tenant in one of the units is moving out in a week and the loan's closing in 3 weeks, or the occupancy isn't 100% and it's at 75% on a 4 unit. A year ago, John and I can both tell you that getting those types of exceptions were really easy, because guess what? The volume wasn't there, so they had to take it, right?
Right.
Now it's a lot harder, and we're getting shot down way more frequently.
Yeah.
John, I'll let you
Re-
go.
It's really funny when I think of this. Again, I talked to Matt, the mortgage guy, who is very much approve eligible, right? There's this FHA box. They put in all the data, they push the button, they wait. I don't know how long they wait some time, and it comes back approved or not approved. What I'm starting to hear from Dustin and now you, Jonathan, is that's kind of like how Wall Street acts, right? Wall Street draws you a box. Your job is to bring them loans that fit in the box. Historically, when volume was low, they're willing to take exceptions. Now they're like, dude, we got enough volume. We don't have to be as open to exceptions. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've always thrived on the out of the box scenarios, right? That we've brought in. And the conversations we're having now are like, will you even entertain this anymore? Right. Because before we were like, hey, we can for sure just submit this, we can get an exception and it'll be good to go. But now it's like we can't submit it without getting verification or at least a soft approval up front. So it's requiring actually clients that are not used to providing so much up front, right? To just get an exception up front. Now they're like, what the heck? Why do I need to provide all these things? And we try to explain it, but a lot of people don't understand what's actually going on. Is you have to provide more upfront so that the lenders too, they only want to work on things that they believe will close now, right?
Yeah.
Because they only have a certain allocated resources for certain items. So
That's you know what? You just brought something up that where my mind went with this. So again, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I have seen, I'm not in the industry, you guys are. Roughly speaking, there's 60% less mortgage originators now than there were at the peak 2 or 3 years ago. And that just to me means the capacity, the variability, the band of expansion is not there. So if you're operating in an environment where your capacity is 100 loans a week, and all of a sudden you have, I don't know, 90 refis and 70 mortgages, purchase mortgages, of which half of those have exceptions, you're like, screw it. We're not working on any exceptions. Is that what's going on, kind of? Is it a headcount problem?
it is. And just, I think overall resources now that volume is up to lenders are having a hard time hiring enough people, right, to do the
Oh
work.
my goodness. We're back to
Um,
hiring. Oh,
yeah, so it's kind of that scenario. And also Wall Street, is unfortunately being a little pickier than usual for smaller loan amounts.
yeah.
And And we talked about this, I think like 2 years ago or a year ago, we talked about how smaller loan amounts were getting a little bit more less love
Yeah.
from the street. We're back in that position, right? Because the return on those things are typically smaller, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so because of that, and the clients that typically have the smaller loan amounts, again, nothing against them because we do a lot of them, but they are technically a little more sensitive to increase in dollars, increase in rate, like more than
Yeah.
clients with bigger loan amounts, right? Just because $1,000 is more for a person that has $100,000 loan than it is for a person with $1 million loan, right?
Of course.
So those clients are kind of being a little more sensitive. They're being a little more shoppy, a little more wishy-washy. And we've kind of seen that trend over the last month. And because of that, Wall Street is starting to say, look, if these guys are just trying to not actually stick with us and actually close and take the deal on the table, there's no point in spending
Yeah.
all
What?
these resources, right, to work on these
Yeah.
small things when we can reallocate to bigger loans, right, with a better return. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how the Wall Street is kind of shifting. So we're seeing a lot of rate sheets come back now with even our non-QM lenders. And one of the lenders we were working with, the funds that we were working with that specialize in those smaller loans, they're starting to say, we don't want anything under 100. We don't want anything under 150. We don't want anything under
Wow.
200. So like that's kind of where things are shifting. And obviously unfortunately, right, the biggest attributor to this problem was the actual clients, right? The
Mm.
actual people not actually committing, not actually being able to deliver. And so all these different lenders are spending resources trying to close the same loan, right? And
Mm.
that loan is 150,000 or 100,000. And now those lenders are like, you know what? I'm not even going to play in that game because it's not worth it for us.
Yeah, it's really interesting because again, obviously, Wall Street lenders, they're looking to make a profit. They are a lot like real estate agents where they do all this work up front, but are only paid at the end. So again, if they're looking at their expenses and they can find some root cause, right? Because I know they have stats and reports about, hey, we processed 100 loans, 37 of them closed. Of the, whatever it is, 63 that didn't close, what do those look like? And if they can find some kind of logic that says, hey, loans under 100K are the worst performing, they're just not going to do them. And that's what's happening, right, John, Dustin?
Yeah, and like John said, this isn't any sort of like attack or us trying to
No,
belittle anybody with a small loan amount. Because look, we can still do it, and we'll take it different
you're just the
avenues. And
messenger. It's not your money.
Yeah.
You'd love to do them.
exactly, and it you know we saw the writing on the wall a year ago. Then it kind of went away when we spoke about it on the channel, and now it's really coming back just because like you guys touched on, there really is a problem in the mortgage industry right now with being understaffed across the board. Now it's not just or loan officers, it's underwriters, right? It's the processors, it's all the support staff. Like you brought up the example, if we have, on average the capability, to give full white glove service and close 100 loans per month, but we have 180 on our docket, and 80 of them are smaller loan amounts or require an exception, it doesn't make, we're a for-profit business, right? We're not a nonprofit business. So if it was a nonprofit business, sure, we'll work on all 180 and treat everybody the same, and we still do, but they have to realize that now the tables have turned a little bit with rates dropping and with demand picking up on loan applications, that now the banks are kind of telling us, and the funds are like, well, we're going to be a little picky choosy now. We're not going to just let
This
everything come through the door and close.
this makes perfect logical sense. And again, something I've been calling for a long time is a rolling recession. This is an exact example of a rolling recession. Mortgage industry gets hit extremely hard. Depression levels, half the industry disappears when rates spike. Over time, rates come down. Suddenly you're spiking the other direction, and you simply don't have the capacity to deal with this sudden flood. So you get picky. But guess what happens over 3, 4, 5, 6 months? People start to hire, people start to retrain. And perhaps by April, May, or June, you will not have capacity of 100 and demand of 180. You'll have capacity of 150 and demand of 180. And things are going to change. But in the short term, I think it makes perfect sense. Wall Street and frankly, all lenders are getting picky because demand is outpacing supply. I think, and by supply, I mean people. The mortgage industry, the mortgage market is understaffed. That is the headline from this video, in my opinion. Do you agree, Jonathan?
Absolutely. I mean, we feel it ourselves, right? I think Dustin, between the two of us, we have like 180 active loans, right, on any given day.
Oh my God.
But with the company, it's like almost near like 250, 300, right? So even we feel it on a more microscopic level of the whole industry as a whole. And we're submitting all these loans, we're pushing everything as much as we can, but the lenders are saying, stop, you know, like
Yeah, there's
hold, we
time out,
can't take
time
it.
out.
Yeah. So what they're doing is they're giving us the inhibitors saying, we're not taking these loans, we're not taking that loan, we're taking, you know, I don't want even want to entertain this. Before, it used to be a conversation. Dustin and I would pick up the phone, get on with one of the owners, say, hey, is this something be willing to entertain? They'd be like, yeah, we'd look at it, yada, yada. Now it's like
Nope.
immediately, no.
Wow, crazy. Again, folks, again, like supply and demand, this will work itself out over time. They are for-profit enterprises. They want more volume. They just don't have the capacity. The mortgage market is understaffed. It won't last long, but it will go a couple of months and maybe a couple of quarters. Well, something else you guys just announced that I think we're going to have to define for folks is you can now do soft pulls on DSCR. Why don't we talk about what a soft pull is, Dustin?
Yeah, so a lot of clients do know this when they're calling in and they're asking about, hey, is it going to be a soft pull or a hard pull? And for those that don't know, when you get your credit ran or pulled by, it doesn't have to be a bank. It could be a auto shop when you're applying for a car loan. It could be Best Buy when you're trying to buy a TV, right? They're going to run your credit. And there's two types of ways to run somebody's credit. The first is a hard pull. A hard pull is you get everything about the person that's, legally allowed on a credit report, right? But then it shows up on the credit report as an inquiry, okay?
Mhm.
And it also will ding your credit score
Yep.
normally 2 or 3 points. Okay. Nobody wants to hear that, hey, if I'm applying for something, it's going to hurt my credit score by 2 or 3 points. It doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
But there's an alternative called a soft pull that we can use on DSCR loans now, specifically in the mortgage industry. And like the word sounds, hard versus soft, a soft pull doesn't show up on your credit. There is no inquiry remark on your credit report. There is no ding on your credit score. So it allows the people to feel a little bit, or I should say the consumers or clients, to feel a little more comfortable that, hey, I'm not hurting my credit score by, running an application with Convoy.
There you go. Again, a soft pull, it obviously doesn't give you the full detail, but probably does give you, hey, these are the numbers from the three big reporting agencies, which is enough for you to get started. Is that right, Jonathan?
Yeah, and that, and also it protects the consumer, right?
Yeah.
Because there's bigger companies, I can't slip up on the names, but they call relentlessly
Yeah.
time after time to make this stuff happen. Like, I think, me personally, I think I got like 50 missed calls like last time I tried to do a loan. So
Yep.
it's that kind of market, and obviously everyone's desperate, and not everyone can service you, but they will tell you they can, right? They
Yeah.
will try to lie to you that they can, just to try to drive you in. So we're trying to protect the consumers a little more, and this is kind of an
That's awesome.
agreement we made to make sure that, hey, our clients can actually be a little more protected, not be blown up, not want to, blow their phone up or throw it on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. You guys are thinking ahead. I guess the last thing to talk about as we kind of wrap this up, we got a rate cutting cycle ahead of us, but mortgage rates went up. I think that's blown people away. We have seen purchase demand up 7 weeks in a row, week on week. We're seeing refis up, over 100, 200% year on year. Dustin, just curious, when you look at Convoy's book of business, what's the split refi versus purchase? Any rough guess?
Oh, next week I think we've done it 3 or 4 times where we do our like Convoys quarterly review and compare it to the previous quarter from the previous year. Actually,
Yeah.
um, we'll have those exact numbers for you guys next week. My best
Okay.
guess, and I'll let John go after, is we're still probably what 70% refi, 30% purchases.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think I said last week like 60-40 or something, right? I can't
Yes.
remember, but yeah, we're in the same range.
Yeah.
I would say that obviously purchase demand has gone up, but I'm seeing a lot of properties still like negotiate and fall out of escrow.
Yeah.
So you know, a lot of people are not moving on credit. Some people are just like, we'll just wait a little longer till rates fall. We're not desperate for a house. And kind of, I think
Yeah.
that conversation's happening now.
Yeah. And then the last question on refis, because I'm really interested in this. I do hate those
Mm.
dial centers, those cold calling centers, those body shops, because I think they're talking a lot of people into bad cash out refis. When you look at Convoy's business, again, best guess is totally fine. Of the refis, what percent are rate and term versus taking some cash out? We'll go to both of you. This time we'll go to Jonathan first.
Um, I think it hasn't moved from what I said last week. I can't remember what I said, but I think it's probably like 60-40 still. I'd say 60 cash out, 40 rate in
Really?
term. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes me nervous, guys.
Yeah.
Dustin, you think 60-40 cash out versus rate and term?
Well, here's the difference. Convoy operates in a much different space than your,
Sure.
bigger players in the industry, like, Rocket or
Yeah.
Loan Depot, or we'll call it. So our cash out refis are for investors. I don't know what
Of
this number
course.
is, but it's pretty high, that 80% of the cash out refis that we're doing right now are coming from projects that were in a hard money loan, fix and flip type
Mm,
loan, fix and hold. And that was the whole plan the whole time,
yeah,
right?
to get
It
the money
isn't like
back.
we're
Yeah.
speaking with, clients that are looking at their $40,000 in credit card debt and have a 2% mortgage on their primary, and they're
Oh,
converting it to a 6% to pay. That's not us. We don't do any of those. I'll tell you that right now. We don't have one of those, and we haven't had
awesome.
one of
That
those in
I love
a
you
very
guys
long
for that. That
time.
is so
Yeah,
terrible. You gotta, you've
yeah,
gotta, I don't know. There are people doing bad cash out refis because they're being sold
yeah,
by some guy over the phone. And
yep,
that just breaks my heart. You get rid of your best asset, the 2% mortgage, and you get talked into it. Oh, it's just
yep.
all right, guys. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, see what's what, get a soft pull on a DSCR loan, see what's right for them. Because again, you guys tell people all the time, sorry, don't do this, not good for you. Where do they go, Jonathan?
Go to convoyhomeloans.com and let us know you came from more at.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.